All right, guys. Thank you so much for being here. It's a pleasure having you guys here. It's not always that we get to have couples here, so this is good. I'm excited to, I'm sure Danny is as well, to ask you a few questions and hear your story.
Thank you for having us.
No, thank you both, Alex and Danny. I appreciate it.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, guys. Like I said at our event yesterday, that you guys are part of the family now. So it's an honor for us to have you here today and get to know you a little bit better. Yeah.
No, thank you so much.
So let's learn about yourselves, right? So I'll start with Stephanie, right? So
Sure.
Stephanie, tell us who you are.
I'm Stephanie Pina, married to Emmanuel Pina. So a little bit about me. I was born in Ecuador, came here when I was 5 years old, grew up in New York City, went to school there, had the opportunity to, go to school, got my bachelor's degree, got my master's degree. And throughout that process, met Emmanuel. We got married 16 years ago. We have two beautiful boys.
Yeah.
And currently I'm a mortgage lender. I've been doing that for about 3 years. I kind of stumbled into that, and we can definitely get into that maybe later on. But it was an opportunity that came up during COVID. I was working in corporate human resources for the #1 defense company, Lockheed Martin, for many years. But it was a job that really wasn't going anywhere for me, I think.
You got tired of firing people?
I got tired of firing people. The layoffs, it was just it was drooling.
It's draining, yeah.
Absolutely. And at some point, I think in everybody's lives, you ask the question, is this really meant for me? I had gone to school for this, right? I thought that was it for me.
Right.
But I realized that it was not, that there was something out there. I wasn't sure what it was, but I do have to thank my husband for kind of enlightening me 3 years ago. So that's who I am.
Yeah.
So before he jumps in, I like to create a plug for immigrant parents who did what they could so their children could have a good education, right? Right, because we, as part of the statistic, we could have ended up without a proper education and without the ability to make it in this country, right? So when you said, you came here at 5 and then you went to school and you got a master's, I'm sure that you can go back and thank your parents for that a lot,
Absolutely,
right?
Absolutely. They were cheerleaders. My parents were divorced, actually, but, independently, from their personal situation, they were always encouraging me to be a better person, to break the cycle, right? Which is something that I talk to my clients all the time when we talk about real estate and we talk about financial literacy, is you got to break the cycle.
Yeah. For sure. And I believe that even though what you did in the corporate world wasn't what was meant for you, but it prepared you for what you do now.
100%.
And going to school and becoming more literate and know how to communicate. You're a great communicator.
Thank you.
So anything that we do in life, I truly believe in this, that whatever you do, it's going to prepare you for the next thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
So you got into mortgage because of this guy.
Yes. He's at fault.
Indeed. Yes.
All right. So before you start, tell us who you are.
Okay. Well, my name is Emmanuel Pina. I'm one of the team leaders also for the Pina Group, and same company with EXP. I just, like Stephanie, I was born in Ecuador. I was raised in Spain, go back to Ecuador, went back to United States, and
this
that's
guy's
pretty
been
much,
around, bro.
and that's pretty much,
all over.
And this is my home, and I've been here for more than 22 years, so which is, builds me, here with the community, and, we just pretty much, after that, I just started, in the banking industry. So pretty much I spent 15 years in the banking. I thought the same thing with Stephanie Corporation. So I thought that's it. Good benefits and, what I call golden
chains.
Shackles.
Shackles. And, it was hard to leave for me there.
Right.
Because you get so
you were
used
comfortable.
To it. It becomes, when you're so comfortable, you think this is it. There's nothing else. It's always, you got to think, there got to be something else, think positive and go from there. And after that, of course, you have to have the somebody else who's, helping you to push me, because there's a fear. There's fear for anything. Yeah. And after that, I just jumped into real estate. But it was at the beginning was an inspiration for one of our family members that helped us to kind of like see that as possible, especially without pretty much knowledge. And I said, well, we have the knowledge, we have the studies, and we can help. And mainly when I went there, yes, was just for better myself and the family, but also just to help the community like you guys are doing. The way we're doing, just help the community just to become more educated and, do financially better for themselves. So that's where I am. And I would start doing real estate, and that's what I said, Stephanie, you got to come in and help out. And that's where we started there.
Yeah, he tried from the real estate water, and he was like, "This is good." Let me get Stephanie in it.
No, that's what we're gonna encourage. It's not easy, but it is doable. That's the first thing you gotta educate yourself and jump in there, and have someone there to mentor. Yeah. I spend a lot of my days and times, years in the bank industry, learning everything, you name it, from A to Z, doing everything from
teller to what else did you do at the bank?
Everything, bro. Business to business, going out to the business, acquiring business, and home equities, you name it. Everything we can. But it's like Danny was saying, those things prepare for you for the long run, for the future. So that way we can provide more value to, not just the new generation, but whoever, even for the clients, to understand a little bit more the process.
Yeah,
it's right. It just gets acquire knowledge to move forward. Mm-hmm. But knowledge without practice is nothing. So you gotta just put in practice, and that's
right.
Mm-hmm. So did he pull you into mortgage, or were you interested in mortgage because of him doing real estate?
He pulled me into it. Yeah. Like I mentioned earlier, I was in a kind of a situation within my career. I had grown as a leader. I had many employees underneath me. I had international reach, so I had responsibility for offices in South America and Europe, and it was great. Like I said, I felt like this is it, right? Kind of going up the corporate ladder. But COVID hits, and then my job changed. It wasn't mentorship and leadership, because that's my degree is in leadership development. It was more about laying off. It was about firing. It was about how to right-size organizations. Right-size is key word to cut cost, okay? So then I'm like, that's not really what I wanted to do. So I was kind of going through that personal crisis. This is around April of 2020. And then as we closer to the summer, when everything starts shutting down, but the companies were like, oh, we're going to start, cutting costs and all of that. So Manny is going through a situation as a realtor, which is he didn't have a lot of those lender partners. Number one, that spoke Spanish. Number two, that were easily accessible, that had, the courage, I would say, sometimes to kind of take people through a specific process. Yeah. Lending is like a colonoscopy. I mean, truly, it's super uncomfortable, but it's necessary because you got to get to that finish line. So he's like, I really need somebody. So I don't know. We had a conversation once, and I was like, I want to quit my corporate job. Maybe I want to be a stay-at-home mom. We were doing fix and flips at the time. I'm like, maybe that's what I want to do. Maybe I just want to be a flipper, right? And he's like, Steph, do whatever you want. Like, I'm always we support each other for years. So then the conversation came up about me just taking the exam, see how it goes. Maybe this is what I want to do. And I was like, sure, I'll try it out. Passed the exam, started applying. Nobody wants to hire somebody with zero mortgage experience. Yeah. But, somebody gave me an opportunity, which is where I currently work at Prisma Lending Group. Monica Serva, met with me one day and said, I don't know, I see something in you. I want to help you. And I'm like, I'll never forget, we joke around this all the time. I want to do one loan a month. That's what I told her. I want to be a stay-at-home mom. I need a mental break from corporate. And that one loan a month has turned into 30 plus loans a month.
Wow.
So, Manny is no longer the only realtor I serve. That quickly changed.
I went to the bottom, so
he's at the bottom of the pile.
I had the pleasure to personally work with you with
That's right,
one of my clients. Yes. And like you said, it's very uncomfortable. When you were saying like the process of purchasing a home with the landing, with searching for homes, especially with a market as challenged as it is right now, it's very uncomfortable, and that's one of the things that on that first meeting, we talk to our clients right away. It's like, hey, because a lot of times, like the picture that is painted out there to people, especially like millennials, sometimes, hey, we're buying a house.
I know.
But it could be very stressful. But one of the things that I really like about what you said there is how you two supported each other. Throughout, because obviously careers are not easy, marriages are not easy. Right. When you understand that, like, hey, I got to be here, I have to support you for you to do what you love, because you go into a job, now you start, like you said, you start firing people, and obviously those are things that needs to be done at times. Sure. But if you gotta let somebody go every week or every day, or it takes the joy out of you, right? It takes the joy out of you. And one more thing that I wanted to say is that, as I love the education system, right? Like it's great. I love colleges and everything like that. But one of the things that I'm not a big fan is, like, they teach you how to be a good worker for somebody else. True. And you took becoming more literate. You took becoming smarter, and now you're applying that. And because there's no ceiling for what you do now, you're into mortgages, right? Yes. You can do as many loans as you want. Yeah. You also are an investor now. Yes. You can, because now you see what goes on with the industry. Yeah. You have access to more properties that you may own and that you may flip, and so the sky's the limit. So you guys have the best of both worlds right there.
And you can take a break to come and record this on a weekday with us.
There you go.
Where, working for a company, you may not have had that opportunity to come in the middle of the day.
To show value 100%. To our community. This is the main reason why we have this podcast, is to add value, to give back, to pay back to our community. Like, we're bringing Emmanuel here, a good friend. He does exactly what we do. But
there's competition.
But there's
no
room for everyone. There's
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Like, maybe somebody watching this will, hey, Emmanuel from Ecuador lives in Danbury, is a real estate agent. Let me find out who the guy is. Which, by the way, we're gonna put your information down for whoever wants to.
Thank you so much.
So we just want to add value to the community, and I feel like this is one of the things that we that the heart of this podcast is to give back.
That's awesome.
So you're a mortgage, you're a real estate guy, and of course you're married. Where you really come together is in investments.
Yes.
Right. So because of course your business, you keep everything aside. You do your clients, he does his clients. Correct. But then when you come as one, is to invest in real estate. Talk to us how your investment career has been. In real estate, and of course you have other investments, right? But you focus on this,
right?
And what drove you to go buy that first property? Like, how did you get together to talk about that? Like, hey, there's a good property here, and I think we should go for it. Was there any reaction on the other side? Like, who brought up that idea first, and did the other side quickly agree with it, or not?
And actually, we always wanted, like a lot of people, I'm sure I can relate to a lot of clients can relate, because with the fear is there, right? But we don't know how. And that's why we say just get educated and get someone who really is going to support. And I think the Lighthouse or the Pina Group would definitely can help out to go through the process. We're just not looking for the paycheck. We're trying to genuinely to help those people. And going back a little bit, what you mentioned, that's how we started. It's actually she planted it, right? You were the one.
He's second guessing. He's like, whose idea was it?
Yeah, but because in my mind, like I have so many ideas. I have so many ideas, and
little things happened, I think, through our lives. But if I had to pinpoint, there were some figures in our lives, I think, that made a difference. Emmanuel. Call him Manny. But Manny has, one of his brothers. He's a very seasoned, very well-known investor in Connecticut, and he's been doing this for over 20 years. No education, barely spoke English at the time. and really a story to tell.
Yeah.
So we saw that, right? Well, we're over here in our corporate careers, and he's being very successful, and we're like, oh, that's an isolated situation. I have to be honest. That's what I thought. I said that doesn't happen easily. He's just lucky. I don't know. Maybe he works 10 times harder. I was kind of ignorant, and I think to some extent we were so focused on doing something different. Yeah. But then, I think from my perspective, I read a very special book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. So I have to pinpoint it to that. I read that book and it opened my eyes, right? Because I felt that I was in that corporate box, and it was like, you're trained to only work for somebody.
Yeah. They train you to be a great manager.
Great manager and an employee.
Yeah. An employee.
So we're seeing his brother being successful. His family is buying properties. Again, very little financial education. To some extent, it was just like amazing.
Yeah.
And
Angel.
So there you go.
I happen to know the guy.
You know who we're talking about here. I was trying to be, but yes, yeah. So so he's doing great things. So I'm reading this book. We're having a conversation. It was one evening. A property comes on the market. I don't know how. I think we were just going on the computer. Cash only. It was a 3-family in Danbury, and it was, completely deteriorated. So he's like, I don't know if I should look into it. He's like, I feel kind of weird, requesting an appointment. So, we contacted another agent who was a friend of ours, and we went to look at the property. And even this agent said, I don't think this house is worth much. It needs complete rehab. Bottom line is we just took a leap of faith. It was him, myself, my stepdad, who is also a main supporter of ours and a business partner of ours in our investment world. And we bought that first property many years ago. Rehabbed it, put tenants in it. We're like, oh, this could work. This could work. Yep. So
drank from the fountain.
Oh yeah, but we started investing before. I think at the time you were just getting licensed. We were not in the real estate industry. We were investors first.
Yeah. Right. Correct.
And what's without giving specific numbers, what's your investment portfolio look like today? Do you have long-term tenants? Do you have Airbnbs? What does that look like?
Yeah, we have a combination. So mostly long-term. We truly believe in the buy and hold strategy. I think it really pays off dividends over time. Yeah. So most of our portfolio is made up of multifamilies. We do have single families. Recently, about a year ago, we started investing in Airbnb. It's an okay business for us, right? I think some people are more successful than others. For us, it's okay.
It depends, It's like you mentioned, some people very successful. I have friends in the industry who are very successful, but it needs time.
It does need time. It's a hotel. I call it a hotel.
That's the beauty about the real estate, even though but they can go different avenues for everyone.
Yeah.
So
many different avenues. Real estate, so many different
so many things. You can buy land. You can flip land. That's a topic. But we did flicks and flips, and we made some money, but it's not for us.
It's a full-time job.
It's not for us.
And I did that.
Flipping homes is a full-time job.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. And the unknown element is always there. Right?
Tons of unknown.
Yeah, what's going to be behind this wall when I open it up?
Yes. Well, when I put it on the market, am I going to get the price,
Yeah.
And
but then again, we know a bunch of people who are very successful.
They're very successful.
Yeah, exactly.
His brother being
niche.
one of them. He's a full-time flipper. Absolutely.
We have to take a niche and then take from there. I think that's it. And for us, it's been rentals.
Long-term rentals. That's our niche.
And
and I've been analyzing life as a whole, right? We often fall into this trap of watching what's out there, social media and all that. And, everybody tells you got to have 7 different streams of income. And I'm like, how disrespectful would it be if I decided to do real estate, insurance, mortgage, and finance and think that I'm going to be successful in 7 different, when you're dedicating 16 hours of your days to one
correct
industry alone.
Yep.
Like that's disrespectful, to think that, so people see the end result of rich people out there, right? Wealthy people who made it, they worked at their same job or same career or whatever, same industry for 30 years. Now they have a little bit of money and they don't have to dedicate as much time to that first business that they built because they got other people in place and mentors and all that. Yes. So now they can diversify and say, okay, I'm going to start a supporting business to my main business, and that's a second stream of income.
Yep.
But everybody, most people are really watching everything out there, watching their end results and trying to start their beginning with everybody else's end results in mind. And like, how can you start 7 businesses? So I like that you guys are, you're very smart, right? And you have all the education, so you could pick 10 different businesses to start, but you guys will remain focused to what you're doing. You do your job during the day, and then you invest. And
that's correct.
Yeah,
and also helps because we are in this industry, and and I think every agent in the industry brings a different value, and I totally respect that one. But people like yourself and us has been in the industry for a little while altogether. It just created more value when you bring that client and really have to to understand what brings to the table. It's just not just a simple transaction. It's what's going next. And what's going to get involved in everything in between.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And those are good points. Like you're the same way because I've seen you work with your clients and talk to your clients. And I'm sure you give the same type of advice. I was just showing a house yesterday to a client of mine and like, look, we can buy it. There's going to be some work for you to do. My job is to sit with you and analyze that work that you need done and to make sure that you're not going to overpay for this. And if you keep it for 5-10 years, if you spend $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 more in doing renovation, it's not going to be that big of a deal. But if an emergency happens in 2 years from now and you have to sell it, my job as your agent is to make sure that you're not going to lose money at that point. And I understand life circumstances change and all that, and it's almost acceptable that you would lose some money because of your life circumstances. But my job is to alert you to, okay,
correct,
buy this house, but if there's a possibility that you may get a job across the country, investing, $60,000, $80,000 doing this full renovation may not be the best approach, as opposed to, unfortunately, every industry has, their share of bad apples. I could be just the agent that will open the door and say, okay, you like it, offer $30,000 more and hope that you get it and then call it a day. Like
just for the transaction.
Yeah. We're seeing a ton of that.
Right.
And that's something that we always talk about, right? About continuity of the businesses that we each run. And the competition, I would say under quotes, because not really competition, but a lot of people are coming into the industry.
That's a lot of confidence right there, right?
I mean, that's like, and it's interesting because they come with zero knowledge, but they're posting, a video about how to be an investor.
Yeah.
They're not investing themselves.
Yeah.
And they're getting people in the door and getting them through transactions where they become problematic down the road.
Yeah.
So it's like, that there's, to a certain extent, there's a cleanup, I think, that's going to happen in the industry by the people who do know what they're doing.
Yeah.
So, I think it's buyer beware. You got to be careful. I tell my clients, interview me, interview other lenders, interview realtors, because you want to know what you're getting into. If I go to Yelp to look at reviews for a restaurant where I'm going to have dinner, why wouldn't you do the same thing with your mortgage lender and your realtor?
Yeah. Yeah. Those are good points.
No, absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
So in your day-to-day, you're helping out your community, and of course the extra here is speaking their language, right? So you both speak Spanish fluently.
Yes.
Correct.
I've always had conversations, with our team members and with other agents out there, and this is one thing that irks me often. Oftentimes, an agent of a different culture tends to want to put their own clients in the back burner to service the general industry, just because they know that they got those clients. And then they end up disservicing those clients or underserving those clients because they think they'll always be there for them, right? But, in plenty of the conversations that I've had with Emmanuel and with you as well is we have a responsibility with our community.
Correct.
Like we cannot leave them behind.
You can't.
And then in the beginning you mentioned about, breaking generational curses. Like part of not leaving them behind is help them break generational curses. Like a lot of the people that we help never had anything in their countries, and then they came here and they worked 20 years to be able to scrape up all the money in order to be able to afford, and it's almost unaffordable now, but a townhouse or a small condo or that single family house that's really beat up, and they're still going to need 5 years worth of work in it. Like our responsibility is not to leave them behind,
right?
And you guys have been great at that. It's like treat everybody with the same respect, like treat everybody as if,
absolutely.
Like I always, when I'm with my buyers, I tell them, when I'm with my investor clients, I tell them, hey, I would be okay living here. Or if you bought this, then renovate it a little bit because it's not, it's not right for you to just put a tenant in here without renovating this place, right? So the question that comes to mind is, would I ever live here with my wife, or would I ever have my mom and my stepdad live here?
Absolutely.
Because that's how I look at things, and you guys are the same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's being honest and truthful, with your clients, even with sellers too. I have a seller, right? I have, he buys some stuff with me as well, and he loves to buy really cheap, right? And when we're gonna put something on the market, he wants like top dollar.
Sure.
And then he's like, oh, but why can't you list it for this price? I said, look, if I'm not telling you exactly what the market says and giving you my honest opinion on what we can list this for, so it's competitive, so people are looking at it like I'm not doing my job right. I'm not just going to tell you what you want to hear. Like if you want, maybe list it for like a little bit more, like we can work it out, see like how that's going to play out, but let's have a plan. Then nothing happens in a couple of weeks, we'll do like a price drop. And again, that might hurt you. Price dropping is often
a sin in this.
Often look at as a sign of weaknesses.
Price improvement.
Yeah. Price improvement. Yes.
I'm seeing that. I'm like,
get this girl a real estate license, bro.
Price improvement.
No.
The way that you look at it.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things you have to be honest with them, like when on the buying, but also like when you're representing a seller. Yeah.
On the mortgage side too.
Yeah.
I feel like we have a fiduciary responsibility with each person that we come into contact with, right? Because these are all financial decisions, whether it's the loan, whether it's listing, whether it's buying, whether it's flipping, whether it's, tenants, right? It all kind of revolves around money, and not just little money. Like we're talking big amount of money, right? And, I think in my experience, I've had people that, can come into my office and, some other mortgage lender has told them they can do X, Y, Z. And then, they wait 6 months and then they can undo it, right? We're talking about co-borrowers and all that scenario. And I'm just like, I'm going to pause you right there. Yeah. The last thing that I want is to put you in a position where you're going to be hurt, right? Whether it's financially, whether it's, with this other person, right? Because co-signing on the loan.
You shouldn't buy a house in somebody else's name?
Oh, God, no. Or even this co-signing thing, right? Which I think for years was like normalized. It's like, especially now that things are unaffordable, right? Yeah. The question to me is usually, how can I qualify for this $500,000, $600,000 house? I'm like, that's not the right question to ask. What can I afford is the right question to ask. What can I afford comfortably, right? So I think in each area, right, and these are topics that maybe, other communities, they're hearing this, they went to school. In our community, we have been underserved. We don't have this information. It's usually in English. So every information that we provide, it's in Spanish because we need to make sure we touch them.
Right.
Yeah.
And let's hope that they don't learn Portuguese, otherwise our clients.
We're done.
He speaks Portuguese. I can't.
A little
I've tried, and it's not happening.
Yeah, but it's similar. I'm sure you help some Brazilian people, right?
With help, yeah. And I mean, I'm too honest sometimes. I'm like, hey, if you prefer somebody in Portuguese, let me introduce you to a colleague. Yeah. Better served with them because, I think the language is very important when you're talking about financial terms. You've got to understand what you're looking into. Yeah.
And what I've noticed over the years is I speak Spanish enough to get a client through a whole transaction. Right? Sure. But then I started thinking about this. I'm like, all right, so when I take an English speaking client and if I have a total of 10 hours of education or information to give them, my clients in Portuguese will also get those 10 hours, but my Hispanic clients were only getting 7 or 8. And it's not because I didn't want to give them 10, but it's because of the language barrier, right? Because sometimes what I caught myself doing was if my job is to get somebody from the beginning to the end of a transaction by educating them about what they're doing. Because it's easy for you to just say, sign here. No, let me explain to you what you sign, type of thing. Or I open a door to a house and they're mesmerized by how beautiful the house is, and I'm going to the basement because I want to see what the mechanicals look like and all the hidden stuff in the house, right? So I've noticed that with my way back when I spoke less Spanish than I do now with my clients and who are Hispanic or who spoke Spanish as their only language, I sometimes didn't create a conversation because of the language barrier.
Yeah.
And so what I started doing after that is I started bringing one of our team members in who spoke their language. I'm like, all right, let's tackle this client together.
Right.
Just because I want to make sure that, again, I'm not underserving them.
Correct.
That's a great idea. Yeah.
I agree with you. And that's why in this industry, there's so many opportunities to partner.
Yeah.
That's why I always say I don't believe in competition because, there's
Business
demand.
unlimited.
It's unlimited. Business is unlimited
Infinite.
in real estate,
Yeah.
at least
Yeah.
for the time being.
It really is.
Yeah.
So what's I remember we were talking before we started this, and you mentioned that you had some unpopular opinions.
Yeah.
Let's talk about them.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I'll start first. I'm sure. So this is the funny part. We don't always agree about how to invest, right? Especially in real estate, I think. I'll speak from my perspective because I see the lending piece to it. I get a lot of people that ask me about fix and flips, hard money loans. They're watching the TV shows and they think they can go in there, buy something at $100K and sell it for $500K with $50,000 of rehab. I don't know where they're getting. And so the media has really influenced, I think, our generation to think this is easy. We've done it. And like I mentioned earlier, we have somebody in the family who's been doing it for over 20 years, and we've seen how difficult it is. So my unpopular opinion is I don't think fix and flips is how to make money. I mean, in this environment, I'll be very specific, in this environment, I think before COVID, material costs were lower, labor costs were lower, there was more inventory. Now we have scarcity. So now in order for you to actually make money, right, I believe in just long term. I really do. So what I tell my clients is, listen, I know this is what you want to do. How much money do you have? What's your credit? Do you have any investment experience? The typical answer is, I don't have investment experience, but I work in construction. So I could do this. And I'm like, it's going to take more than this. So I tell them, what we've been through. And I coach them to maybe leave their options open. So what I would typically do is say, hey, we can look at two scenarios. Hard money lending, and I'll let Manny speak about, we have a business for private hard money and commercial loan.
The Pina Bank.
The Pina Capital.
It's called Pina Capital. Yeah.
So we talk about kind of these, these financial solutions for that type of loans. And then I talk to them about, cash flow loans, investment loans, right? DSCRs. So, and I tell them, you don't have to make a decision now. This is too big of a deal to make a decision today with me, but at least know what your options are. So I don't steer them. I really I want to make sure that they understand the reality of the world. It's expensive. Everything's expensive, and it's just too risky. Yeah. I can't put my clients to that. So that's my unpopular opinion. And I see it on the media, like workshops. People are coming out with workshops, how to be a flipper, an investor. And I'm just, I cringe. Yeah. I cringe. And I'm like, what are we doing? Because right now, show me a property that you can flip and make a lot of money on. I don't see it. So that's my unpopular opinion.
And just to tackle, and that when you go to finance residential, it's a fact that nowadays that you might need a couple of appraisals, right? Because that's the value.
So as a lender, what I'm seeing is a lot of overlays, with certain investors, whether it's conventional loans, non-QMs, two appraisals. Why? Because banks are worried. They're thinking, I don't believe that you just made $100K in equity over 3 months after you flipped the property. So I'm going to send another appraiser to take a second look at it because I don't buy it.
Doing that?
Oh yeah, wow. They're starting to do that, and that's only going to get worse. It's only going to get worse because again, we're
at the tip, and we don't know where that tip is.
Where is it
until
going?
It drops? So we're always at the tip.
So so as a flipper, as an investor, you also have to think, how do I get rid of this property? Right? What's your exit strategy? And if I can't sell this property easily, because forget FHA. FHA, you have you can't flip, you can't sell it for the first 90 days, and you got the two appraisals. So they're like, okay, maybe that's not the time. Okay, conventional may be the option, but then you have other conventional loans like ITIN loans, non-QMs that they're asking for two appraisals. So you've got more risk now with your money. Yeah. So those are the things I see behind the scenes where I'm just like, no. Buy a property that you can renovate. Okay, you can buy a distressed property with a conventional loan.
Right.
Put a tenant in there. You're going to get your money back. It may take a little longer because rates are higher. You can refinance later, but your money is safer in that perspective.
Yeah.
But you're dragging along flippers with you, so you have a different opinion.
No.
He's using a different lender for flippers.
He totally is a different.
What do you got to say?
Exactly.
No, the thing is, look, I have this called the Pina Capital. Pina Capital, we do hard money loans along with I have partnership with across the nation, and also commercial loans. That's what we do. Yeah, so I just everything I do is in the real estate. Now, the only thing I think is like everything else, you need to have someone who mentors. As a real estate, let's say somebody has a brand new, they don't know what, we need to mentor that person. The same thing happens in my industry. So if somebody wants to be a flipper, or even though they have a little experience, so I want to make sure he understands everything, and that way it's kind of like it gets to the point he is not going to be, at least it's not going to be a totally win-win, but at least understand what he's putting the money into. That's the whole thing.
Right.
Yeah. If there's some solutions, I mean, as far as whether it can be make some money, why not? But the fact is, for me, is just to make sure like I'm more the mentor those investors, just to become a better and don't fall in those traps.
Well, you have to, because it's no longer only their money in the flip. Your money is there too.
Absolutely.
They win, you win, they lose.
Everybody loses.
Yeah, exactly. And so that's another thing I do for my for Pina Capital, and trying to help out individuals.
But he believes in flippers. So if you're a flipper, call this guy too, because definitely don't call me. I'm going to tell you no.
But so one of the conversations that I have with the first-time flippers, the people in construction that have made good money over the last few years and they want to buy something, I give them the true opinion of, I give them the true stats, right? So most flippers, if they break even on the first flip, consider that to be a win. Most people will lose money in the first flip.
Correct.
So now that we've said that, do you want to continue?
Right.
Yeah.
And
it's a tough conversation.
It's a tough conversation.
Yeah. People are like, what are you talking about?
And some people think you're trying to shy them away from perhaps them getting into the business, because they know that, you're investors
somebody
as
else
well.
is making a ton of money. Yeah.
Exactly. They're like, oh, are you trying to keep me out? And it's like, I'm just giving you a perspective. I'm giving you stats in this case.
Yeah. But again, they have to have the tools. They have to have the adult equipment. Not for myself, I cannot just go myself, because I don't have all the resource in terms of let's say the.
Manny, we're not flipping anymore.
No. But the fact
it has been decided.
It has been decided. So you're safe.
As long as you know the numbers, I think the numbers is key. As long as you know the numbers, you make the numbers, and you go with that. So that's.
Do you know how I think of flipping becomes a profitable business? You have to be doing like 5 to 10 of them at a time.
Yeah.
And you have to have, and also those guys who have sweat equity as well.
Totally.
Like
Can't delegate everything.
You're dropping off material. You're doing something. You're painting yourself.
Absolutely.
Like that. Sweat equity will pay off.
Oh,
I have a friend. Our friend, he does really well, but he was a builder. Like, he's dropping off.
Exactly.
He's squeezing every dime from everyone. So he knows it's like you said, it's experience counts. You know.
Exactly. And he's using his own capital, I imagine, at this
point.
Some
of his own.
Okay.
A good chunk of his own, and then other people, like with relationships that he's built over years and years of people knowing that he knows exactly what he's doing. Yeah. Those people that are invested in him are people who hired him to work in their houses.
That's amazing. So it's private loans versus the hard money. Yeah. The hard money is too costly. I tell people I just don't.
Even when it comes from
hard
family?
Money is
especially when it comes from family.
That's a private loan.
But yeah. Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like in one of the other things that I want to touch on is also everybody, like a lot of people have like different opinions, just like you guys. When you bought that first multifamily back in 2012, I bought my first multifamily as well, and I had somebody really close to me going in that property and saying, "You crazy?
Oh yeah,
are you gonna buy this? Look at how much I partner up with one of our good friends, Walter Chin. You guys know him. So we bought it together. And we bought the house for $170,000.
Wow.
Yeah, back in the days.
Three family.
Yeah.
That's cheap.
With a rehab loan.
There you go.
Wow.
With a rehab loan.
Yeah.
And we made out so well with the property. Had I listened to somebody that was like really close to me, that was not investing themselves, so you have to kind of like filter it out. the opinions as well.
You almost have to draw a line. Okay, so if I want to look at an investment and you're there and you know that I'm looking at an investment and you have an opinion, I have to draw the line and say, okay, what investment properties do you have? And then I'm not saying no to your opinion, but it helps me filter your opinion a little bit more.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because it
can be biased. I mean,
Right.
you know,
And sometimes the person won't even mean anything by it. Like they don't want something that's bad for you either.
Exactly.
It's just that some people are not ready to give you the advice that they're giving you.
That's a great way to say it.
Yeah.
That's a great way to say it. Yeah. Absolutely.
So what's the future for the Pina family? You will continue mortgage, you will continue real estate, you will continue investing. Do you think it's still a good time to invest?
Yes.
And what's your whole, like, do you have a target in mind of units that you want to own by the time you can say, okay, we're going to retire?
Question.
I personally, you know, it's just more about it. I feel like when you give more and more to the community, more to it, you feel better. Life is too short, and you know, of course, you gotta have a goals. If you don't have a goals, it's like, you know, driving everywhere and not having a destination. So you gotta have a goals. And you know, what I have as a goal in mind is just to, you know, make sure we can supplement whatever. And now we can say that if we don't want it, it cannot work, right?
Yeah.
We can say that.
At this point.
At this point, we want to help more. When you do help, you know, communities and just, you don't feel it. And that's what we do with the passion. And that's what we do with actually Pina Capital as well. So just kind of like, you know, it's not for everyone, but it's just, you know, whoever wants to understand this process, because we're not there just to profit. We just make sure you understand they become part of the family, knowing that one. That's the whole point. It's just more to create a knowledge overall.
You heard it, folks. The Pina Team is now a nonprofit, charging 0% commissions.
That's another topic.
Oh, that's another topic.
That's another topic. Yeah.
0% real estate
If it was
commissions.
up to Manny, that probably would be the case. Manny is not. He's not driven by financial gain. I'm completely opposite of that. I believe in being
balance.
financially free and, you know, being able to you know, hit goals and
So if you need to borrow money, go to Manny.
Yeah, go to Manny.
Go to Manny because he'll charge you 0 interest. But I'm underwriting that behind the scenes. Oh yeah, no. So it's like I said, we're very different, you know, and I think that's what has made us strong in our marriage and as business partners, because, you know, we're
not easy.
We're a couple first, then we're business partners second, and then third, we each have our individual businesses as far as, you know, he's a realtor and I'm a mortgage lender. I do like the idea about acquiring more properties. I think any time is a good time to invest. You just have to look at it differently, right? So before COVID, we were invested a little bit more freely. There was less risk. Things were a little cheaper. Now there's more risk. So when risk goes up, you know, you probably want to think through that a few more times, number one. Number two, you need to put more capital in it. Yeah. All right. I think times have changed where, you know, you're putting down 3%, 5% and think you're going to make a heck of a lot of money. Yeah. With high interest rates, no. Tighten the belt a little longer, save up more money, maybe put that 20% down, maybe put that 25. You know, we're investing with big down payments, and I use those examples for my clients to tell them, this is how I get that monthly payment down. This is how I can cash flow. You can do the same. Maybe you can't do it on your own. Maybe you bring somebody along with you, right? A business partner that maybe can help each other out. So I think we want to continue to grow. There's no number in mind. I think as the opportunity comes up, we'll continue to do it. Wow. We have a property manager at this point, right? So we don't have to take care of our properties. We have somebody that already does all that work for us. So that way we focus on our clients. And like Manny said, continue to helping the community.
It's just not just look around, you know, like we are in Connecticut, but always you can look around, and that's the beauty about that, you know, leverage the EXP and the Lighthouse and also us, because we cover pretty much everywhere. I would say that.
Because you have investment properties in different states.
Yes.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah.
And we personally license in Connecticut and New York and Florida.
Yeah, sometimes those investment opportunities may not be in your neighborhood. Yeah. Maybe you got to go out.
It's not in your backyard. Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah, so you got to go. It's not like anymore like you just, you know, hyper local. It's just you got to, you know,
your you mentioned that you have a property manager for your properties,
Yes.
right? And I constantly have these conversations with people just to debunk some of what they read online and watch online. You know, everybody thinks that buying and holding is a passive investment, but for as long as you don't have a property manager fixing some of those toilets and taking in phone calls from tenants, let's say you have, 20, 30, 40, 50 units or more, you're the manager, and it's a job.
Yes.
The passive portion of that investment is the appreciation over time that becomes passive.
Yes.
But being a manager is a full-time job, if you have, depending on how many properties you have. So you've already stepped into the better side of this, which is you hire somebody to go and take care of that for you. So real estate to you, your investment portion of this of your lives to you is more of a passive investment now, but because you've made the right moves for it.
Yeah.
Right. You're busy all the time. And the last thing you want is to have to drop everything to go fix a thermostat.
It's well spent money. Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
So you hire somebody to do that for you.
You do.
Correct.
You do. And that wasn't an easy decision either, right? Because it took us years to realize that, Manny is the man that always says, I'm going to do it. And he never does it. Right. So he's like, yeah, sure, I'll go fix it. And then, he's with his clients doing showings. And then, the tenant is calling me. Yeah. So we bit the bullet at some point and we said, you know what, it's fine to make less money. It's okay. Yeah. We have more quality of life. And that's a tough decision to make for a lot of people.
For sure.
Yeah. So, there's a percentage of the rents that goes to this individual. It's somebody that we trust, in the family. So that helps a lot. And she takes care of absolutely everything. And when things get a little bit out of hand, then she'll phone the friend, right?
Do you feel like, why didn't we do this before?
Before sooner?
Yeah.
To some extent, I wonder, but I don't think we were ready. I think that we needed to go through that process.
Well,
ourselves.
it was also, so it's the advice I give is it's also, it's good
maybe
for you
6
to.
months sooner, Danny.
Yeah. It's good for you to go through like a portion. Let's say, you're making some good money now and you can buy 1 or 2 properties a year. And I have a couple clients in that scenario, right? Sometimes even more. So figure, okay, in the 10-year period, you're going to end up with a lot of properties. Manage those for a little bit so you can see what you're dealing with. So when you pass on this responsibility to somebody else, if they come to you and say, okay, it's going to take $550 to replace a thermostat, you can say, absolutely not. Because a new thermostat could be, $50 at Home Depot right now, and it takes an electrician's, or a handyman an hour. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
An hour to replace it. So there's no way that can be $550.
Yeah.
So to your point, it's good that you were a part of it for a portion of the time. Yeah. And then
now how much it costs and how long it takes. Yeah. Goes back to what you do will prepare you for the next thing.
Absolutely.
And that's great because it helps also to the clients, right? They wouldn't say, oh no, that's it, it's not true. I've been through that one and I know exactly. I've been in those shoes, and so
we can debunk those things. Yeah. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. So one last question that I have for you guys is more about your family structure than business in general. But I get a feeling that you guys chose these careers. It's a lot of work, right? Mortgage and insurance and real estate. And I'm sure that you guys work, 12, 14-hour days almost every day. But you did it for
I'm sorry to cut you off. Are you saying they went from a 9 to 5
to 24/7?
To 24/7. Yeah. Thinking we would have freedom of time.
Yeah. But I'm sure you did it maybe with the same intent that I did it when, of course, I didn't have a family at the time. But in the beginning, I'm like, all right, I'm going to jump into something that I'm going to do. I'm going to be working around the clock, but I also get to pick the flexibility that I want in it. Yes. So do both of your careers have to do with how you wanted to raise your kids?
Yes.
Absolutely, 100%. And that's I raised my kids. Mostly because she's been traveling pretty much
throughout my career. I was always traveling, so and I would take care of the kids.
And thanks to the bank industry, I was very flexible. Even that, so given the flexibility. But it's for kids. It's a new lifestyle that we live. And it's not easy. It's like I said, sometimes we have to work Sundays and everything, and but it's just a lifestyle that you have to adapt in.
Yeah, but then you can go to the kids' soccer game on a Tuesday afternoon,
exactly.
and nobody will say anything to you.
Appointments during the week.
Yeah,
it definitely gives us that ability. I think. For me, it's been also to provide to my kids what we didn't have. We come from very humble beginnings. I faced homelessness when I was about 15 years old for about a year, in my life. Yeah. So, we have hit rock bottom. Manny's been through a lot of situations as well, his childhood. So we come from, broken homes and things like that. Yeah. So for our kids, it's always more of like, how do we provide you with an opportunity to be a better person? Yeah. Right. So we help people. Like if you ask our kids, like, what do? It's like, oh, they help them buy homes. Yeah. And it's not about the money. It's like we help them buy homes. Yeah. They don't know, that we invest. I mean, they see that we provide nice things to them, those things. And we also want to open up their eyes to the fact that you don't always have to, get a master's degree to be successful in life. Right. Yeah. Success is what you define it to be. Yeah. You can be very successful with, just a high school diploma and, loving and doing what you want to do in life. Career. Absolutely. Right. Yeah. Yeah. So it's kind of like all of those things. Our time is extremely limited. We are in a position in our lives now that we do have a nice support system. We have people that help us, assistance and things like that. So that way we're very focused with our time with them. So it's a trade-off. There are times when we want to quit. We're like, what if we just quit? Do we have
weekly or monthly?
Oh my God. It's like a once a month thing. Yeah, but I don't know. I don't see myself doing anything else, at least for now.
Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Good. You haven't had to fire anybody in a long time. So that's good.
No,
that's good.
I don't have to worry about managing people.
You know what happened, right? She was gonna have to fire a lot of people. She was like, I'm gonna quit before they fire me.
I have to fire. Just in case I'm next. On the list. There you go.
Wait a minute, I gotta fire all these people.
Oh my goodness! Like
I gotta fire 150 people, and I have to shut the lights out.
I'm out.
Yeah.
Okay,
go ahead.
No, you go first.
No, I was going to say, you guys said so many good things here, and I believe that a lot of people are going to take advantage of what was discussed here today. And it's been actually a lot more, not that we didn't think it was going to go this route, but it's been quite pleasant for us to have here today. And if you had to send out a message to your clients and the people who are looking to, purchase
en español.
Yeah, it could be in Spanish as well, in español. If you want to look at a camera or something like that, just so people, just tell them a little bit about what to expect, what's going on now, or actually whatever you want to say. Go ahead. It's yours.
Yeah. What message? If you had people out there thinking about buying or selling a home or thinking about investing in real estate, and we know that times are tough, right, for everybody, except for sellers, but for buyers in general, for investors, what message would you leave your people with? Yeah.
I mean, briefly, just in English, for those that prefer English, any time is a good time to be better. So I think that's always the advice that I give to my clients is anytime's a good time to stop renting. Anytime's a good time to give your kids a home, perhaps that you didn't have growing up, like me. Anytime is a good time to break cycles. So get educated, give me a call, give your preferred mortgage lender a call if you want to understand how it works. There's usually no commitment and there's usually no cost. So there's nothing that you can lose out. Para la comunidad latina que servimos, siempre es un honor y un placer ayudarles. Soy Stephanie Pina, como les dije anteriormente, y bueno, las puertas de nuestra oficina están abiertas siempre para que vengan a visitarnos. Tenemos nuestro equipo que está aquí para servirles en su idioma. Estamos ubicados aquí en Danbury y estamos para servir a la comunidad con toda la información que necesiten, sea que quieran comprar casa para vivir o para inversiones, estamos para ayudarles.
Wow.
Manny?
Wow. Awesome. That's what all said.
Manny said ditto.
Like, please don't drop that mic.
No. It's just one thing is like you said, it never time. We cannot time anything in life. It's I always say this: God puts you in a position that you and your family feel that when is the right time. And when it comes to buy or sell, actually, I would sell this one if you know you're comfortable with the payment, correct, and you have the assets, okay, and you pretty much know you like what you're purchasing, go for it. Why not? Because you cannot time it. Tomorrow, you don't know if there's tomorrow. Yeah, you don't know. Something could happen, and goodbye. all your dreams gone. So there's no timing in life, and just go for it. And same thing. And we are right here in Danbury, just actually Danbury, Brookfield, whatever that.
Greater Danbury, yeah.
Greater Danbury, yeah. So we have a team, and we're always trying to mentor new people. Whoever wants to come and join us, we'll be more than happy to do. I do one-on-one, and take on the field. That's why we do. Yeah. So for those speaking Spanish clients and en español. So mi nombre es Emanuel Pina. Soy de Pina Group y estamos localizados en Brookfield, Connecticut. Pues hacemos cualquier cosa de bienes raíces que vengan para acá, inversión y lo que sea, le podemos ayudar con todo eso. Y también si tienen inversiones de, ¿cómo se llama? De comerciales. Okay? That's all.
All right,
thank you guys. Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having
here.
us.
No problem. This was
our pleasure.
Yeah, definitely our pleasure. This was very pleasant, and we're excited that you guys took our invitation to be here.
Oh, thank you.
We're also excited to spread your message, to our community. We're if you want to buy real estate, you can use this guy, you can use me, you can use this guy, and we'll vouch for him, and you can use her for a mortgage. And these are, you guys are people that we vouch for on a daily basis. So
thank you so much.
Again.
Sounds good. There you have it, ladies and gents. We have the power couple here today, Emmanuel, the Pina team, right?
Team, yeah.
And Stephanie Pina. Thank you so much for being here today. We had a pleasure having you guys here today. Once again, if you haven't yet, subscribe to the channel, give us a thumbs up, and we'll see you guys next month with some more real estate insights.